All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar today. My name is Brandon Grant. I am the Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks. We're also joined by Ryan McKenzie, a Senior eBusiness Specialist with Tech Data today as well. We're going to be going over some of the integration features between QuoteWerks and Tech Data, and Ryan was nice enough to come by and just kind of sit on the webinar, and he'll be here to answer any questions you guys have. Ryan, are you connected okay?
I am all good.
All right, great. So if you guys do have any Tech Data specific questions, feel free to send them our way. We'll try to answer as many as possible. We're going to go through the webinar basically through short PowerPoint, and then we'll actually go through the integration features and how they work together. If you do have any questions that are specific for Tech Data or for Ryan, feel free to send them over to me as well, and we'll try to get as many of them answered as possible as we're going through this. We are going to record this webinar and post it to the video, or to the website rather. So if you come in late or you have to leave early, the whole video will be available on the website within a few days here. Maria's already asking if we're going to send the link out when the video becomes available. Yes, we will. We're going to actually send out an email broadcast to this webinar link. It'll also be available on the website on our videos page. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So like I said, we're going to do a quick PowerPoint, just kind of some of the integration features between QuoteWerks and Tech Data. Ryan was actually very instrumental in a lot of these features. Without him, we weren't going to be able to do some of the really cool things that we're able to do now. So we do definitely appreciate him taking some of his time and sitting on this webinar for us. The main integration points are going to be your real-time pricing and availability. This is kind of like the staple integration with Tech Data between QuoteWerks and Tech Data. So you're able to get your pricing and availability just as if you were logging into Tech Data website. It's going to give you the same information using your account credentials. You won't have to import a price list. We actually have the part locator feature, which we'll go into in just a few minutes. So you should always be able to get your up-to-date Tech Data parts without having to import any kind of price file or maintain any type of price list. We also have the capability to process orders from QuoteWerks directly into Tech Data. So we can actually submit those orders electronically through QuoteWerks. So you'll be able to do your quoting in QuoteWerks and then submit that order directly to Tech Data without having to go to the website or anything like that. We also have a couple new features that we'll show you as well that will actually let you purchase through Tech Data if you wanted to submit your items through their shopping cart instead and using their interface. So we'll go through that also. One of the newer features we have is the ability to import the Tech Data quotes into QuoteWerks. So we're always able to take like CSV files and import those in, but now we've automated it, so if you ever receive a Excel file from Tech Data or an SAP quote, we're able to import that information into QuoteWerks. And again, that's something we'll be demonstrating here shortly. We're also going to be demonstrating the PO support that we have available now. So we're actually able to create the purchase order in QuoteWerks and have that order tracking information, which kind of goes into our next one, the procurement tracking, where you can actually see the items as they are assigned, as the tracking numbers are assigned, as the serial numbers become available, and then even mark them as received in QuoteWerks. So it's some new functionality that we've released here in the last few months. That's some really cool features that we've added. Finally, we also have some item support for like the Tech Data shopping cart that it's actually been around for a while, but not too many users know about it. So it's something we're going to discuss here, so how you can actually pull that data in from Tech Data's shopping cart into QuoteWerks and vice versa. So the first one's going to be the real-time pricing and availability. This is where we're going to pull the pricing and availability using your account credentials from Tech Data into QuoteWerks for each item on your document. This is kind of like the bread and butter integration point between QuoteWerks and Tech Data. That's one of the main reasons a lot of users use the integration or just have the real-time module as well as the product content subscription powered by Utilize. Because of the product content subscription, you'll also be able to get those accessory items for upselling on your main item. So if you're offering some type of server and it has optional items or anything like that, you'll be able to see those optional items such as power cables or warranty options, things of that nature that you can include on your document. It's also going to include product pictures if they're available, as well as the part locator support. The part locator support's really cool feature that a lot of times with Utilize, when you're searching for items, they may not actually be in there because they haven't been updated yet. Because Tech Data updates their price list on a regular basis, we're able to import the Tech Data price list on the back end in QuoteWerks and actually maintain that list for you. So if you can't find it in Edelweiss, we'll then search Tech Data's price list automatically for you, find that item, and then you can get your pricing and availability without having to leave QuoteWerks. So it's a really cool feature. It's something that happens automatically. You don't need to set it up, so you don't have to worry about making those changes. Let's see. Someone's saying the PowerPoint's not changing. I'm going to refresh my GoToMeeting here and just right now. Let's see if that resolves the issue for you guys. I see a lot of this stuff moving. So it looks like some of you were probably able to view it and not everyone. Steve, I saw that you said that that's updating now, so should be good to go. If you're still having trouble seeing my slides changing, just let me know. I'll see if I can refresh the GoToMeeting. Sometimes GoToMeeting freezes on that kind of stuff. So we'll go through here. The second feature we have here is going to be your online ordering. This is so you can place the orders directly from QuoteWerks into Tech Data. So if you do have those items that you're ready to submit directly to Tech Data, you can do that. One of the great things about this is you can actually batch multiple quotes from QuoteWerks into a single Tech Data order. So if you get a break on shipping, if you have so many orders or so many line items in your document are based on the dollar value, you can now batch those those QuoteWerks orders into a single Tech Data order, so it just makes it a little easier to control that information. Importing the Tech Data quotes, really cool feature. We're able to pull an SAP quote directly from Tech Data into QuoteWerks. You're simply going to click on the Tech Data icon on our toolbar. It'll prompt you for the quote number. You put that in, and then it'll go out and retrieve that information. I'll show you how that works. Really nice feature. It can save you a lot of time, so you don't have to manually input that data. We also added the ability to import the Tech Data Excel quotes directly into QuoteWerks. So if you ever get negotiated pricing from Tech Data, or you have something that was just specifically built by one of their reps and you want to pull that into QuoteWerks, we can import that information directly into QuoteWerks, and you don't have to worry about doing any kind of mappings or anything like that. We'll just import it in directly. Our PO support, the PO is going to be automatically created for you once you submit the order with Tech Data. So once you've actually submitted electronically that document to Tech Data, it'll appear in QuoteWerks, and you'll be able to get that order tracking information. That's going to include basically being able to track get the serial numbers, the tracking information from, if it's FedEx, UPS, what the tracking information is going to be, and then also marking those items as received, which is nice, so you can kind of complete that loop from creation to delivery to fulfillment for that particular item. And then the last feature we're going to mention is going to be the export items from the Tech Data shopping cart into the QuoteWerks quotes. So a lot of times, if you're using the Tech Data website and you want to take those items and send them over to QuoteWerks so you can quote out of QuoteWorks and give your customer that nice looking quote, or even if you're creating more of a proposal style document, you'll be able to take those items from the shopping cart directly, import them into QuoteWorks without having to manually input that data. And you can even create a template for this so you don't have to do any kind of mapping after the initial import. So something we'll go over as well. Same thing with the search file. If you're ever looking for multiple items on Tech Data and you want to import those items into the QuoteWerks file, maybe you're going to give your customer some options. So you create a kind of like a search in Tech Data for those. You'll be able to do that as well, and I'll show you how that will work. So the typical workflow in QuoteWerks is going to be, you're going to create that interactive quote in QuoteWorks, so possibly with using Quote Valet, but just building that document initially in QuoteWorks. So we're going to select our products, our services. We're going to add those items to the document. We're then going to deliver that document to the customer, where the customer can then sign off on the document. If you're using Quote Valet, they can electronically sign off on and even make payment through it. Once that happens, we'll update your opportunity if you're using a CRM or PSA that we integrate with, where we'll be able to update that information. And then you can then check pricing and availability before submitting the items to your distributor, such as Tech Data. So if you wanted to actually check to make sure that price is still available, negotiate prices, change it, make sure stock is still available, you'll be able to do that information before actually placing the order with Tech Data through QuoteWerks. I say I do have a question. From Bob, is asking if multiple users can be sent to Tech Data when combining multiple orders. Bob, if you are ordering them individually, you will have to send them multiple orders just because we do specify the end user. If you're having everything shipped to your office, then you could batch the orders. That would be an option. but you can pull their end user information from the quote that was accepted or their order document at that point. Finally, after we place that order in QuoteWerks, we're going to create that purchase order automatically. That purchase order can be sent to QuickBooks if you're using QuickBooks or Sage 50, also formerly known as Peachtree. We'll also just create it manually for you, so if you just want to go in there and update anything manually, you can have that as well. The really nice thing about this is that when you create that purchase order in QuoteWerks, we're going to apply that information, the real-time tracking information from Tech Data. So when you've applied that order to Tech Data and comes into QuoteWerks, we'll actually update that purchase order if the items have been received, if they've been shipped, if there's certain serial numbers have been attached. You'll actually be able to see all that information in real time. And then that's kind of what we just discussed would be the tracking the order. And then, again, this is just going to kind of close the loop all the way from creation to delivery and fulfillment of those specific items. QuoteValet Web, this is something you guys have probably gotten a chance to see, and if not, I would definitely recommend taking a look at it. It's just going to be our reporting engine for QuoteValet. So if you are using QuoteValet and are processing a lot of quotes through there, you can actually see these impactful reports through QuoteValet Web, where you can actually check out the executive dashboard. You can do comparative analysis between your different sales reps. You can actually see your documents in real time, kind of see what the customers are doing with them through the My Summary. We also have our status board, which will allow reps to, in a kind of like a bullpen kind of office scenario, would be able to look through the different notifications and see which quotes have closed, who has the biggest sales that month, that kind of thing. So you can create a little friendly competition among your reps doing that. You'll also be able to search for documents through QuoteValet Web, as well as offer peer reviews and have management approvals through QuoteValet. So if you guys are using QuoteValet and you're not using QuoteValet Web, definitely recommend checking it out. It's included in your subscription. If you're interested in using QuoteValet Web, you can sign up for a free trial of QuoteValet. It's a part of the subscription. You don't have to pay anything extra for it. So just get signed up with QuoteValet, and that'll be available for you. Cindy's asking, you've had QuoteWerks for a long time, and what is the process for moving fields that we have already in use? Cindy, if you can send an email over to support@QuoteWerks.com, they can give you some detailed information on how to resolve your issue. They should be able to take care of that for you. Some website resources, just want to make you guys aware of. We do have videos on our tech data integration, specifically placing the electronic orders and retrieving real-time pricing availability, so definitely check that out. There's also information on using our product content subscription, so the PCS. So if you do see PCS on our website or in our materials, that's what we're talking about, is the product content subscription, the Utilize subscription. So we do have some information on how to use that functionality. We also obviously have our general QuoteWerks overview videos, so if you do have a specific feature or just looking for more information on QuoteWerks, we do have quite a few videos available to you guys. We also do have our online help file. So that is available to you guys. So if you haven't noticed, we actually got rid of the PDF manuals, about over 1,000 pages at this point. So there's just so much functionality. We converted over to a help file, which makes it much easier to search, much easier to locate your topics that you're looking for. So definitely check that out. It's searchable by keyword. There's even an index for it. So it just makes it really easy to locate your issues in QuoteWerks. We're going to be going to quite a few events. We usually go to 1 or 2 a month. So if you're going to the ASCII events, check us out. We're always there. If you're going to GFI Max here in Orlando, we'll actually be there as well. Same thing with IT Nation later in a couple months, and we have a few more down the road that we're already committed to. If you have any other events you'd like us to attend or think would be a good idea for us, go ahead and send us that information. You can send it to qwsales@quoteworks.com, and we'd be happy to take a look at it and see if it's something that we can fit into our schedule. Definitely check us out on social media, so Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, even our forums. Forums aren't technically social media, but it is a good place to connect with other users in QuoteWerks. LinkedIn's a great place for that, too. There is a QuoteWerks users group. So if you guys do have questions or you just want to interact with other QuoteWerks users, feel free to go to those places and check them out. So before we get started, I just wanted to mention a couple things on our website. So if we go to our website here, and let me get logged back into my machine, you'll actually see that you can access the forms directly from our website in QuoteWerks. So if you go to our homepage and then click on support, you'll see we have all the options for your updates, how to contact tech support, and our forums and our knowledge base and our videos. So this is all under the supports option. If you simply click on the support option here, this will bring you to the support page on our website where you can actually get the information to get into our help file. So if you wanted to see that searchable keyword index information, access that data, that's going to be available on our website. So definitely check that out if you're looking for a place to get it. It's also available in QuoteWerks. If you go into QuoteWerks, you can actually click on Help and QuoteWerks Help, and that'll bring you right to it as well. You can also go to QuoteWerks on the web and get to our knowledge base or our users forum and also check for updates. So if you have any questions, that's a great place to start. It's always in the help file. So the first thing we wanted to go over in our demonstration here is going to be our integration with tech data and setting it up. It's actually a very simple thing to set up. You're just going to need to request your XML credentials for tech data. These are going to be different than your website credentials. So if you have website credentials, that's great, but you're also going to need to request your XML credentials for QuoteWerks. You might even be able to tell them QuoteWerks, and they may even recognize what that means. So to set that up, once you have those, we're simply going to go to Tools up at our top, and then click on Options. And then we're going to scroll all the way to the right, and we're going to click on our Real-Time tab. Now, if you don't have the Real-Time tab available, that means you don't have a real-time license, and obviously the integration with tech data is not going to work. So if you did purchase real-time or you're testing real-time and you don't see this tab, that just means you haven't added that key to your license manager, so just make sure you add that key first. So we'll click on our Real-Time tab and then our Real-Time Setup button here. And once we do that, we're going to click on our Tech Data tab. So you can see the Tech Data tab here, and you're simply going to put in your user ID and password that they sent you, as well as your region, and then you can even set up the online ordering defaults here if you'd like. So once you've done that, that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do to set up the tech data integration. It's that simple. There is no importing. All you need to do. Now, if you're using Utilize as well, which I do highly recommend, there is a setup for that, and that's also going to be in the same spot. So the Tools Options, Real Time, and then you're going to click on the Product Content Subscription tab. And this will let you select if you have a preferred distributor. So if you want to set tech data as your preferred distributor, you can do that. Same thing if you need to map any of your fields. So if you're mapping item types or price modifiers or anything like that, you can set that as well. So that's all going to be available as soon as you add the real-time and Utilize key to your installation. But if you don't add your tech data credentials to QuoteWerks, you won't be able to get pricing until you do. So just make sure you set that up. Like I said, it is that easy. You're just putting in your username and password, and you're ready to go. So the first integration we're going to discuss today is going to be our importing of tech data quotes. So this is something that fairly recent that we added in the last few months, and this is where you can actually take a setup info from, or set up the tech data like SAP quote and pull that directly into QuoteWerks from tech data. So if I click on my drop down here, so you'll see on my toolbar I actually have a tech data logo, and then there's a toolbar option for a drop down menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click Import Tech Data Excel Quote or Retrieve Tech Data SAP Quote. So depending on which one you're doing, you'll simply make that selection. So if you have your SAP quote, click OK. And you can see it actually remembered my last one that I used. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in the same one. But you'll just put in that Tech Data quote number here. Click OK. And then you can see it's going to go out to Tech Data and then request that information and then pull it directly into QuoteWerks. So this one only has one item, but if it had multiple items, those would show up as well. So it just makes it very easy to pull that information into QuoteWerks without having to go to Tech Data and export it out manually, or even just set it up manually in QuoteWerks by searching for that item. So very easy to do. Again, like I said, not much to it there. The second option we have is going to be importing an Excel quote. So if you have an Excel quote that you received from Tech Data, you'll simply click on the drop-down again, choose Import Tech Data Excel Quote, and then you'll select your quote that you want to pull in. So I can go ahead and select my tech data quote here, and I have them saved in a specific file, and it will remember the last time you imported one. Hit open, and you can see here it's just going to launch Excel and then pull it into QuoteWerks for me. So I can see that information now in here. It even has my tech data quote number in here. It has my tech data listed as my vendor, my part numbers, my cost, and then I have it set up to automatically update my price modifier. Now my price modifier is a default setting in QuoteWerks, so if you want to adjust this, this isn't specific to a Tech Data quote, just specific to your QuoteWerks installation. So once you have this, you can then move forward with adding additional items, looking up pricing, anything of that nature you'll be able to do in QuoteWerks. So one of the other features that we had that a lot of users aren't aware of is the ability to pull in shopping cart items from Tech Data into QuoteWerks. So if you have started your document in Tech Data, maybe you've located a couple items, this is all the customer needs, these 3 or 4 items, and then you want to send those items to QuoteWerks, that way you can quote it out to the customer. You can actually do that using our Pay Special functionality. And this will actually work with really anything. So if you have any kind of CSV file and you want to copy and paste that data into QuoteWerks or an Excel sheet, we can do that using our Pay Special. So we're going to go ahead and start with a new quote here. So we're going to start with a blank one. And then all I'm going to do is click on my Edit and then my Pay Special option. So I'm just going to click Edit, Pay Special. And then it's going to give me 3 options. It's going to ask me if I want to start with a one-step Pay Special, start a new session, or start a session using the settings of a template. So the settings of a template would let me make some adjustments if I want to. So that's probably where I'm going to start. If you've never imported a Tech Data shopping cart file before or the search file before, you're going to go ahead and start a new session because you're going to actually do some mappings involved. But I want to show you what it's going to look like if you don't have to do the mappings because I've already done this once. So I'm going to choose Start a New Session using the settings of a template, and then we're going to do the shopping cart template that I created. So I'm going to go ahead and pull items that I added in a shopping cart. I'm going to click Next. And then it's asking me where do I want to get my information from. So do I want to copy the data from a clipboard, or do I want to copy it from a file? So I'm going to go ahead and copy it from a file, and then I'm going to select my file. So I already have my shopping cart file here. Go ahead and click Open, and then click Next. And you can see it pulls my information in. And then you can see the header information is in row 1, but it already knows to start at row 2 for your items. So that's available. Nancy's asking how do we get the XML credentials from Tech Data? Who do we request them from? Ryan, that might be a good question for you.
Sure.
Who would be the best person to request those credentials from?
So there's two routes you can go through. Normally, if you use techdata.com and you set up an account, you have someone who is considered the EC main administrator for the account. They have the ability to go in and create a new XML user within the EC admin portal on the web. But also the other way to do it is reaching out to our EC support desk or our help desk, and they could actually help creating the XML credentials. Now there is a form to be filled out because part of the registration process for XML credentials is that we know what your static IP address is, and we do that from a security standpoint in that we make sure that when you're making those XML calls that it's coming from you and it's not somebody else trying to replicate or imitate or impersonate your account. But yeah, there's 2 ways. And from the EC support desk, it's ecsupport@techdata.com. Or if you reach out to Brandon, he can get a hold of me and we can get you in touch to talk to somebody to get it set up.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Nancy, I think that answered your question. So you'll have those 2 options to be able to get that information and get them into QuoteWerks. So if we go back to our Pay Special window here, you'll see I'm going to have my data already lined up and ready to pull into QuoteWerks. So the next one is going to actually be your mappings. This is where you would choose how you want to map this information into QuoteWerks. So you're basically taking the Tech Data information and then mapping it how it's going to be sent to QuoteWerks. So the first one you have is your vendor part number. So the way you map that is you simply click on the column name, and if it hadn't been mapped, I could actually choose vendor part number. So since it's already been selected, we're going to go ahead and leave that one here. But column 2 I left blank because I wanted to actually select this one. So this is going to be our manufacturer. So you could actually go through in your mappings here, and all I did there, again, was just click on our column 2, and you could actually select the manufacturer field that you wanted to pull in for this item. So you can actually map that. And this, again, you're doing these mappings this one time so you can save this as a template so it'll remember your settings moving forward. My manufacturer part number is already set. Same thing with my description for my customer. And then I'm also going to have my unit price and unit list. So those are going to be available for me. So rather my unit cost and my unit list. So we're going to go ahead and click Next. And then we can append the items at the end of our document. So we're going to hit next, and then this is where it'll prompt you to save this as a template. So if I wanted to update my template or just save it as a template, if it's the first time I did it, I can actually click yes, go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and we'll override it. Click finish, and then it'll pull that information into QuoteWerks. So again, if you went into the Tech Data website, added a couple items to your shopping cart, there's an option in the Tech Data shopping cart to actually export that file to a CSV file. And once you've done that, you can pull that into QuoteWerks. So that will work with the current version of the Tech Data website, and I also tested it with their new version. I was able to do that, and it'll still push it out to a CSV file that we can pull into QuoteWerks. So whether you're using their current website or their new one, that functionality still work for you. The search file results is going to follow a very similar path, where when you search for items in Tech Data and it brings it up on that search page, you can then export it to a CSV file that can then be imported to QuoteWerks. So we're going to do the exact same thing for that one. We would simply click Edit, Paste Special, and this time we'll go ahead and we'll select our search file template that we set up. Click Next, copy our data from a file. And so this one's already set because I used it previously, but you can go ahead and select it or whatever you had called it. Click Open, click Next, and then you can see here, again, it's going to start at row 2, and then it's going to have my line items. I can hit Next. It has my items mapped for me. Click Next, and then I can append them to the document. And then I can save it if I had just created this template, or if I was modifying this template, maybe the formatting has changed. I can modify my template, save it, and then hit Finish, and it'll pull it into QuoteWerks for you. So it's a really easy way to be able to take any information from your Tech Data shopping cart and pull it directly into QuoteWerks without having to manually input that information. So it can really save you a lot of time. You know, after you do it the first time, again, that format's never going to change, or it doesn't change on a regular basis anyway. So you just create that template, you'll go through, and then moving forward, what you can actually do is when you click on Edit Paste Special, you'll simply select Start One Step Paste Special, choose which one you're using, and as long as the file name is the same, you can do Finish, and it'll just add those items to the document for you. So it makes it very easy to pull that information in. Just reading the comment from Bob. If Tech Data users are using the new SMB website, the export is cart.csv, and there is an issue using the Paste Special when there are items in the cart over $1,000. Bob, I tested with mine. I didn't have that problem, but if you are having that issue, go ahead and contact tech support, support@quoteworks.com, and have them look into that for you, because it shouldn't matter what the dollar amount is on the items. There may just be a mapping issue that's going on, but yeah, I would just recommend contacting support and having them take a look at that for you, see what's going on. So those are going to be some of the lesser-known features in QuoteWerks with our integration with Tech Data. One of the features that might be useful for you guys is going to be going from QuoteWerks to the Tech Data shopping cart. So a lot of times, if we actually, we'll go ahead and just clean this quote up a little bit. A lot of times, if you're creating a quote in QuoteWerks and maybe the customer's accepted it and you want to go ahead and push your purchasing through the Tech Data website instead of doing it through the QuoteWerks ordering form, maybe just interface is better, that's just easier for you guys to manage. Maybe the person who's placing the order, they don't have access to QuoteWerks, so you want to be able just to submit the order directly through Tech Data. You can easily do that. There's actually a setup in QuoteWerks where we can modify our menus. And in QuoteWerks, what you can do is under like the Tools menu is how I have this set up. You can actually export these items to the Tech Data shopping cart. So I can click on this. This will actually go out to Tech Data, go into the website, and actually add these items to the shopping cart. Now, you will want to make sure you are logged into the Tech Data website before doing this, but you can see here it adds those 2 items to your shopping cart just with a click of a button. The instructions for setting this up is actually very simple, but if you go to our quoteworks.com/tips, tips.asp page, we actually have the instruction on exactly how to set this up, and that's something we'll include in the email blast out when we email the link, is how to do this exactly. So if this is something you're interested in, we'll send that information out so we can make sure everyone gets a copy of all that. I'm just going to make a note for myself to make sure we send that out to you guys. So really cool feature. Again, makes it very easy to take information from QuoteWerks and submit it into Tech Data so you can place the order via their shopping cart if you'd rather place the order that way. So now going back into QuoteWerks, we're going to go ahead and go over our primary integration with Tech Data, which is our pricing and availability. So again, we're going to start with a blank quote here, and we're going to start selecting items or searching for items. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to click on our products icon here, and then you can see I have my databases that are available on the left-hand side. So I have Utilize, my demo database, our products and services. So these three databases, demo database, our products and services, are just my databases that I use internally. Utilize is where you'll search for your items from Tech Data. Now, this Tech Data search, or this search, is going to be more like a Google search. So if you put in, Lenovo laptop, it's going to come back with quite a few results. So the more information you put in this search, the better. So if you have a specific line item you're looking for, if you know the part number, you can put that here in Utilize, and you're able to get that item exactly. If you just put in kind of like the characteristics of the item or something like that, you're going to get your results based on whatever you put in this search. One thing to mention here is if you do sell a lot of the same items on a regular basis, you can actually create a pick list for those items, so you don't have to worry about manually putting in the part number each time. Very useful when Tech Data is offering like a promo price or something like that, and you're going to be pushing a particular hardware item. You can actually save that item in this search for field just by double-clicking, and this will let you see the different line items that you've already created. So for instance, if we wanted to offer this trip light switch, we can do that. Click Select, and you can see it already has the part number associated with it because I had already added in there before. And then we do Find, and it'll actually return back results for this particular item. So very useful when you're setting that up in QuoteWerks. If you just double-click in that search for window, you can create a pick list of items, so you don't have to put in the part number each time if you don't want to. So as we're looking at our items, I'm just going to expand our window here a little bit. We can find our Tech Data item has the best pricing. So it's going to be highlighted in green, so you can see that the pricing is your best cost. And then you also see your availability as well in the parentheses. And then that'll be broken down by warehouse. So you can actually see by warehouse where it's going to be coming from. So for this instance, it would only be coming from Indiana. You can also check pricing from like CDW, Newegg, Amazon, Dell, Staples. This isn't your account credentials. This is going to be just retail pricing. So keep that in mind, that your Tech Data pricing is your pricing. These are using your account credentials. If you're checking pricing from these websites, it's just to check pricing, maybe give you a good idea of where to mark it up. It's not going to give you your pricing. So just keep that in mind when you're pulling items from Utilize into QuoteWerks and checking that information out. So we'll go ahead and we'll source this item from Tech Data. And you can either double-click on it or click on Select Add to bring up the Add Item Assistant. And then we can apply our quantity, set our price. You'll see here we'll include a picture if it's available. And then we can go ahead and add it to the document. So fairly straightforward from that point of view. So one of the nice things about the product content subscription is going to be the accessories tab. This is going to give you an option to essentially upsell your customer on different category options. So this one has power cords, proximity sensors, services, and temperature and humidity sensors. So maybe you wanted to include a warranty with this particular item. You can select your warranty, get your pricing and availability from Tech Data, and then actually source it from there. And then maybe we're going to give our customer the option between the 3 or the 5-year warranty. So instead of having to redo a search or look for something else, you can quickly see those optional items that are available. And it gives you just a chance to upsell your customer without having to do a brand new search in QuoteWerks. So we'll go ahead and we'll source this one from Tech Data as they have the best pricing again. And we'll go ahead and double click on it there. Change our quantity and go ahead and add it to our document. Same thing if we wanted to offer them the 5-year warranty instead. We can check pricing from the 5-year warranty and receive that item, and you'll get our pricing from Tech Data at this point as well. So we'll have that option. Now, this is where the part locator can be very useful. If I was searching for this item and Tech Data has it available, but maybe Utilize hasn't been updated yet with this item, maybe it's a brand new item that Tech Data just released, so Utilize hasn't caught up yet, so they're not quite. They don't have the product picture information available. They don't have that information available. What will happen is we'll actually locate the price file from Tech Data that we import behind the scenes in our content server, and we'll actually find that item and give you your pricing and availability. When that happens, you'll actually see a little target that will show up, and that'll let you know that that particular item is not in Utilize yet, but you can still get your pricing and availability for it. So it's a nice thing to have. Again, it's not something that you have to do. You don't have to set it up. It's already there. You just search for your items. You should be able to find all of your tech data items. If you do ever have any issue with your item not showing up, just let us know. We'll take a look at it. Usually it's just something that needs to be adjusted in like your settings or something like that. Cindy's asking if we can include the default, the basic warranty. Cindy, there's not a way to set it by default. You could create an item if you wanted to in a QuoteWerks database with the part number, and then we could link to it as like a required item, and then that would be available where you select that item and then it automatically adds that warranty to the document. But typically you're probably going to want to look it up because prices do change on a pretty regular basis. But that would be an option. If you are interested in how to set that up, just send us an email and we can give you some instructions on setting up required items in QuoteWerks. One of the other options that the product content subscription is going to provide are the spec sheet information, or spec sheet information rather. So this will be just some more technical information about this particular item. So if you wanted to include this with your quote or proposal that you're creating for your customer, you could attach this as a PDF document to that Links tab in QuoteWerks. And it's very simple. You'll simply click on the Add to Links tab button here, and then you'll get a confirmation message that it's been added as a PDF to that Links tab in QuoteWerks. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And we'll go ahead and we'll close out of here. So that's going to be the primary way that you're going to search for items from tech data using the Utilize subscription or the product content subscription and locating your items and pulling them into QuoteWerks. One thing that you'll also want to take advantage of is that if you pulled your items into QuoteWerks, we can update pricing and availability from your document item screen. So that is available here. If you click on an item and then you click on your Utilize panel button here, this will actually go out to your distributors and get your pricing and availability. By default, it's always going to give you your selected vendor. But then if you forgot to add an accessory item, you can actually pull it from the screen. So if you had already added the item to your document, get halfway through building your quote in QuoteWerks and you realize you forgot to include something, you can actually go to that accessories tab and include that information here. So it's just going to be your Utilize panel button here directly next to your totals for selected items toolbar. So that's available to turn on and off as you need it to update your items on the document. I have a couple questions rolling in, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to those. Maria's asking if you add that spec sheet to the Links tab, where do you find it? Maria, it's going to be on your Links tab here in QuoteWerks. So all the way to the right, you should see a Links tab, and we'll attach it as that PDF. When you're ready to deliver it to the customer, when you click on your Deliver window, or your Deliver icon, which brings up your Deliver window, there'll be a Links tab very similar to what we have now currently on our quote workbook, all the way to the right. You click on that, and you'll actually see your PDF is available there, and you can choose to include that in your document that you deliver to your customer. So again, anything that you attach as like a spec sheet from Utilize will attach on that Links tab, and then you can choose whether or not you'd like to include that with your quote or proposal in QuoteWerks. Darren's asking, will Cisco SmartNet options show up in accessories? Yes, Darren, they will. If they're available, they will show up there. I've seen them before. I don't know the limitation of some of them. I know some of them do and some of them don't, but I have seen them. So those should be available for you. Brian has a really good question. Brian's asking if each QuoteWerks user needs to have their own ECID from Tech Data, or can we just use the one ID for all QuoteWerks users? Brian, great question. You can use just the one credential for all users. It's basically a site credential that you're setting up in QuoteWerks. So you'll put that information in QuoteWerks, and then everyone will have access to the real-time pricing and availability functionality.
So hey, Brandon, just real quick on that. So when you have XML credentials with Tech Data already, or you plan on getting XML credentials with Tech Data, one thing to point out is that the password on XML credentials never expires, unlike our standard credentials for techdata.com that expire every 90 days. So if you do get set up with XML and you go into the QuoteWerks admin section and add those credentials. There's no worry about having to update the XML ones. But if you do use the techdata.com ones, just make sure that if you do update it normally with us, that you make sure you update it with QuoteWerks as well.
Okay, yeah, that's great information. So that's good to know that you won't have to keep going into QuoteWerks and change that password when you're updating on the website. That'll just be good to go moving forward. So we have our items on the document. We'll go ahead and we're going to pretend we send this to the customer. So let's go ahead and we'll select the contact that we want to deliver this particular quote to, and then we'll actually pull them into QuoteWerks, and then we'll go ahead and we're just going to convert it directly to an order. So if we click on our Sold to, Ship to tab, and we select our contact, and then we save our documents, we're just going to save it for today's date. That'll assign our document number. We delivered it to the customer. They said everything looks great. We want to move forward. So we're going to go ahead and convert it to an order. Now, this is important because when you are converting the quote to an order, this is the only way you'll be able to submit that order to Tech Data from QuoteWerks. So if you click on File, Convert to Order, and then it's just asking me for administrative rights to say OK. So I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to change the doc status. You can see here it's going to change our quote to close, and it's going to create our new order, and it's going to set it as open. So again, this is very important. If you want to place orders directly from QuoteWerks to Tech Data, you're going to need to make sure you get in the habit of converting those quotes to orders, or they're never going to show up in your purchasing screen. And I'm just looking at Darren's question. Darren's asking, when you import using Tech Data, will retail prices get imported too? Yes, Darren. A lot of the times the list price will be available. It's not always the case, but most of the time we'll be able to pull that in. If it doesn't, you can use the Tech Data shopping cart. So if you're actually pulling items from the Tech Data shopping cart, when you pull them from the shopping cart and you use a pay special, that will actually give you the chance to import the MSRP or the list price as well. So if you want to pull that in, that's available. So once you've converted that quote to an order, now you can click on your purchasing screen in QuoteWerks. And it's just going to let you know that it wants to close all the open documents before going to the purchasing window. So we can go ahead and hit OK. And let's just move this down here. Let me resize this so you guys can get a better view of this. So this is going to have our items, and then you can actually see we can source it by vendor. So we can actually say, OK, these are our 2 Tech Data items that we ordered. And then we can do place online order and create PO. Now, I'll go through kind of the steps, but I can't go the whole way from start to finish because this is our live installation, so this would actually place an order with Tech Data. So we don't want to actually do that, but I'll show you exactly how you can do that, is that you'll actually click on Place Online Order once you've selected your vendor, and then it's just going to bring you into an ordering screen, so it's going to be very familiar. Just kind of walk through your purchase order information. This is going to be your PO number, your PO description, and your PO ref ID. You'll actually see it says QW next to them. That's for QuoteWerks, so that means it's going to be the reference information in QuoteWerks. You can also set your order pricing type, so if it's commercial, educational, state, federal, whatever you need to set, you can set that here. And then this is a fairly new feature as well, where you can actually set your payment. So if you have terms set up with Tech Data, you can actually select that. Or if you have a credit card on file, you can actually choose to use your credit card on file. So you'll be able to use one or the other, and then how you want to handle any back ordering that may be necessary. And then you can set your shipping. So if you want to ship it to yourself or to your end user, you can do that. So that's actually defaulting going to be the ship to information on your quote. So if you wanted this to default to you, you can simply set yourself as the ship to on the Sold to, Ship to tab in QuoteWerks. I set mine to our end user because we said we're just going to ship everything directly to the end user. And then you can see here we can copy from the end user. So we can say it's going to be the Sold to information. And then we even have the My Order Tracker integration here that you can set up and add your email information in here so you can track that through QuoteWerks. So the next part would be to verify the current pricing availability, validate the order, and then submit it. Like I said, this is live, so I can't actually go any farther than this, but this would let you check your pricing availability and validate the order before submitting it. Now, we have had a lot of customers ask, what happens if pricing changes or stock changes, or if we need to just double check to make sure the item's there before we actually go through the ordering process. On this purchasing screen, you'll see there is an Utilize panel available. So if you do need to adjust it, if you need to go back and make changes to it, or maybe the quantities change from the customer, so you need to make sure that you have that quantity available in Tech Data, you can actually click on the Utilize Panel button here, and this will let you check your pricing availability again, just to make sure that it's the information you need, everything's good to go before actually submitting the order to Tech Data. So that's a fairly new feature that just came out a couple months ago, and that's available to everyone that has the real-time and product content subscription. Cindy asked a great question. She asked, when you're placing the order, and you're verifying the current pricing availability, is it going to reset the pricing if you have custom pricing? So if you negotiated pricing specifically with Tech Data, they sent you a Tech Data quote, you imported it into QuoteWerks, sent it to your customer, they said, okay, let's move forward, and you've already set that negotiated pricing with Tech Data, so you don't need to update it with real-time pricing information. When you place the online order, you can actually put your special instructions in here, so you can reference like the specific Tech Data quote number. And when you do that, that'll actually flag the quote for Tech Data, letting their reps know that, hey, this order has a special instruction, something's been flagged. They can actually see the quote number, reference that quote, and then realize that you are authorized to purchase those particular items at that pricing. So that's a pretty new feature as well in the online ordering that we've added. So that's available to you as well. So you can just use the special instructions here in order to have that information. Matt's asking if there's any reason not to have auto check turned on for pricing. So basically he's asking about the auto retrieve real-time pricing availability. There's no specific reason, Matt. We usually typically have it off just because we go through different tabs before things load, so it can take just a little longer for it to load for demo purposes. But for actually using the software for practical purposes, most customers have it checked and use it that way. All right. So once you've actually created the PO, you can then check the status of that purchase order in QuoteWerks. So if we go ahead and here, we'll actually create this purchase order. So I'm going to go ahead and create this manually because I can't submit it to Tech Data. So I'm going to do Create PO. And then it's basically just going to let you know, it's going to say, hey, we can actually place electronic orders for Tech Data. Are you sure you want to manually create this purchase order, because it won't be submitted to the vendor? So in this case, that's what I want to do. I don't actually want to submit this one to the vendor since we're just doing a demo. So I'm going to go ahead and select my purchase order number. Don't need to export it to QuickBooks. And then I'll go ahead and hit OK. And you can see the items have now disappeared. Now if I go to our purchase orders here, and if I choose dates of today, you can see here's our Tech Data purchase order that we just submitted. So now if we had submitted this electronically and actually placed the order, we would now be able to get that real-time tracking information from Tech Data. So we can actually get tracking numbers when they become available. We can get serial numbers when they become available. And you'll see you have your real-time lightning bolts here. So you can actually choose, okay, I want to get my real-time status for the selected order, or the one right next to it would be all orders. So if you have a batch of orders that you're waiting on to get real-time information, you can do that. And that's when it'll populate. It'll let you know the quantity on hand, how many of those are back ordered, the quantity shipped, the quantity received, who it was shipped by, which warehouse, the estimated shipping date, the tracking number. All that information will come through the real time. So once you've actually submitted that order through Tech Data, we'll be able to get that information for you and populate it here in QuoteWerks. So it's a really nice feature to have. It makes it very easy when your customer calls you and says, hey, where's this item, or what's the status with this, where's that, where's this, where's that. You can actually come into QuoteWerks, search by a particular order, by date, by a specific customer if you would like, and you can actually see, okay, I can see that it was shipped on this date. Here are your tracking numbers. You can give those to them. If there's any serial numbers, those will be available too. Now you can see there's actually options to manually add this information. So this is useful if you provide any kind of services or other items that maybe you sell yourself. You can actually update those as they're being done as well. Just kind of track all that information in one spot, so you don't have to worry about just only having your real-time information here. You can track your other services. So maybe you completed the service, you want to mark it as like received here in QuoteWerks so that you know that it's done. You can actually do that here just by marking the items as received. This will update some of your accounting programs such as QuickBooks and Sage 50 that we integrate to, so we'll actually be able to mark those items for you as well. So The last thing that I want to mention is going to be the Ordered Items tab. This is going to be very similar to the Purchase Orders tab, but basically this is going to let you select by a different specific item. So instead of looking by the actual order itself, you can search by a specific item. So maybe a customer saying, hey, we didn't get this item. We don't see this item. Where is this? Can we find this? You'll actually be able to set that here, and you'll be able to search by customer, the specific PO number, and then see that same information. So this purchasing information is all available to you now. You do have to have, obviously, the real-time module and the product content subscription in order for most of this. If you have real-time and you don't have the product content subscription, I highly suggest it. It makes it a lot easier. You won't have to import that tech data file because, like I said, you'll be able to search Utilize in real time, and then we're also importing it for you on our own server that we let you search if we can't locate it in Utilize using our part locator. So that's just something to keep in mind for anyone that doesn't have that functionality set up. One other thing I wanted to mention is we did just add a new feature that's coming out in Build 10, something that a lot of users have asked for. I don't have a copy of Build 10 yet on my demo installation. I hope to get one soon. But what it'll allow you to do is actually check minimum pricing. So if you know your minimum shipping, not minimum pricing. If you know your minimum shipping amount to get free shipping from Tech Data is $2,000, you can actually set that up in QuoteWerks now, where you'll be able to say, okay, I need to get $2,000 on my quote in order for it to qualify for free shipping. When you're on this purchasing screen, it'll actually show you, as you've selected items down here, when you've reached your free shipping limit. So that's actually something that's coming out in Build 10, which should be available here in the next couple weeks. But that information will be available to you guys, so you can actually just enter that in, and QuoteWerks will do the calculation for you and let you know, hey, you're this far, you have $1,500 towards your $2,000 of free shipping, and then once you hit your $2,000 or more, whatever your shipping amount is, it'll actually turn green for you so you can view that information. Eli, your question, go ahead and contact support, and they can provide you some information on creating those purchase orders in Sage 50. It's something that you'll probably just need to make a few adjustments, but you should be able to do that as well. So that's pretty much all the integration points that we have with Tech Data. I know it's a lot to kind of take in. There's a lot of things that you guys probably aren't using that are available. So if you do have questions about setting them up or walking through getting that information into QuoteWerks from Tech Data, or vice versa, sending that information to Tech Data, just let us know. We'll go ahead and we'll take a few questions here. I'm going to try to go back and answer as many questions as I can. Again, this webinar is going to be recorded, so it'll be posted on the website. So if I did miss your question earlier, I do apologize. We'll try to answer as many of those as possible. Let me see here. I just apologize here as I'm just kind of scrolling through the different questions, making sure I got to all of them. Nancy was asking if that's a good question, Nancy. She asked if the Tech Data interface will work with QuoteWerks out of the box, or if we have to open up specific ports in the firewall. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know if you actually know the answer to that question, or if that's going to be an internal IT thing for their company.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know it off the top of my head. If Brandon, you get more details about the question, I can dig into it on my side and see if I can get an answer.
Okay. So yeah, Nancy, we'll get back to you with that. I'll make sure to write your question down, and we'll have someone follow up with you and make sure to get your answer out there. Ryan's asking if we can address the shipping integration. Yeah, Ryan, if you are set up with our real-time module, we can actually get pricing from like UPS or FedEx and pull that into QuoteWerks. It's actually fairly easy to set up. You're just going to need a few things from FedEx and UPS. That's going to be done under your Tools, Options, and then you click on your Real-Time tab again, and then Real-Time Setup, and then you'll see there's actually an option for shipping, and then you'll click Setup, and then you can put in your UPS credentials and your FedEx credentials, and then you'll actually be able to calculate the price based on like the weight of the document, or the weight of the items in your document, or you can set like a flat rate or something like that if you wanted to. So that's available. If you want some more information or need some help setting that up, you can do that. Once you've done that, you'll see this icon becomes available where you can actually click on the Add Shipping Rate line item, and then you'll be able to choose who you're shipping it to, put in the weight, and then it'll give you all that pricing from UPS and FedEx. If you're using someone else other than UPS and FedEx, we are looking to expand that functionality. I just don't have any kind of time frame for you. So currently it does just support UPS and FedEx. So I don't see any more questions coming in. So what we'll do is I'll go back through these questions and try to answer as many as I can offline. So if we didn't get to your question, we'll try to reach out to you guys and make sure we were able to cover everything in the webinar. Again, this will be posted on the website. We'll put that video out there and send a broadcast email to everyone. I do thank everyone for coming in today. Definitely thank Ryan for taking the time. Tech Data was awesome with a lot of these features we wanted to add. They were really helpful. So if you guys do have questions for us or for Tech Data, just let me know, and I'll be sure to get them over to Tech Data as well. Ryan, thanks for your time, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.